This morning, I don't know if you can hear me. This morning, President Trump tweeted that we are beginning the first step toward massive tax cuts, and this has been an ongoing saga in regards to tax reform, as they call it, which, if you go and look up the details of this, it's anything but reform. Something that really needs to be brought out to the forefront. When you have a society, you're going to have winners and losers. And I don't mean the people in of themselves are winners and losers. Oh, this person's a winner, that person's a loser, he gets this. The equivalent of me saying that is you're going to have a person who gains, and as a result, someone else deteriorates. You can't have this idea of every single American wins, or every group wins, or every subsection is successful. And people think, oh, well, there are some voters who are convinced this is going to assist them. But when you have people at the top getting the same cuts as yourself who have much, much, much more cash than you do, I think it becomes quite clear that who needs more of a reduction. And what's all the more disturbing is that as I tell several of his backers, the details of this, how it doesn't do what they've been claiming that it does, there's almost this willful refusal to listen to anything of sound reason in regards to, it's not just me slandering him and doing my anti-Trump rhetoric and, not presenting any rationale or giving you any source you can go to and see them break down what's wrong with this. They'll still say, but there's always a rationale for what I think has been his proven mediocrity on most issues. So in, I don't want to say conclusion, but a bigger thing to just take away from this is that whenever you hear a politician say reform, or someone who's holding office say reform, you have to look at the details, if they'll release them, on what exactly they're intending to do to spark about this change and create the quote-unquote differences that people have been looking forward to. Because your idea may not be the same as theirs, and that's not due to the fact that, they have a different political view than you, but they've had different experiences. If you're someone who comes from an upper-class family, such as Trump, you're not going to know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, or have to wage whether or not you're going to pay for, your house bills or medical costs. And that's something that he doesn't get. It's something that bothers me more and more as I think about the election cycle last year. People really bought into this idea of him getting the working man. I remember they were saying Romney was out of touch, and Trump was the same way. He just managed to have the rhetoric that would convince or coerce people who weren't entirely familiar with the idea of deception on the part of those running for office, that it could happen. And people took him for his word, and they're about to get price gouges that are going to screw up everything in terms of their revenue, or rather tax cuts that are being sold to them as something good when they actually are not. But people don't feel a need to go and look things up, and that's why we have the system that we do now. The executive power that he holds, and just him being able to, along with a few others, determine that those who are less fortunate are going to pay more than those who are very fortunate, such as Trump and most office holders, is disturbing. But again, it goes back to this idea of, let's trust a couple of guys in suits to determine what's best for you and I don't think we should live that way. At least when we don't take the time to go and research what's actually there. So thank you for watching. Have a good day.